Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip,
And I'm CJ.
and it is Monday in the Rev. And looks like it actually almost made 30 today. Everybody celebrate. So,
Almost. I love that. Almost made 30.
yeah, it's true. I think you got up to 29. But, and it's still removing snow. What a disaster.
It's always a disaster.
Well, yeah. Well, for the sixth or seventh time, I cleaned my driveway in the evening. And then on Sunday morning, I went out to go to the gym, and I had a 4 foot ice dam in front of my driveway, and they plowed the hydrant in again. So there's a public safety. What's up? There's your public safety issues again. What a crock! What a crock! Um, I mean, they just have no, And now it's solid ice. I had to use an icebreaker uh, that is made of solid steel that was machined for me, made by my father. But to break it up into giant chunks and then move it, it's ridiculous. They have no consideration for the people.
No.
They plow it back on the sidewalks. They plow it into their driveways again. They plow the.
Hi, Jimmy.
Yeah, no, it is a good thing. I would have never got that thing. I don't know. I would have had to go out and get an axe or something. I guess because it was a good 4 feet wide and about 3.5 feet tall, and it was frozen solid, absolutely. So is the hydrant. And they shoveled the hydrant. I shoveled the hydrant after the storm. They plowed it in. Fire department came by again, shoveled the hydrant out. Now you can only see the top of the hydrant. And there's no room to get in there to hook up to the hydrant, really. I mean, they're going to have to make room if they need it. It's crazy. So let's get to the big news, I guess. 2 police officers, and the weekend flush was always good, but today you hit some really, and this weekend you hit some really good points, CJ. First of all, 2 police officers were shot.
Right.
The good news is that according to the news, they're both home. They've been released.
They've been released.
And again, remember, Paul, there's no crime. There's no problem in the city. We're filling this city up. More is filling it up. All these cities with illegals and criminals and illegal criminals, both A and B. Now, this guy was recently, according to the reports, this guy was recently released from jail.
From a shooting.
That he was serving 20 years.
20 years for a shooting at a bar in Fall River. And he has a long history of crime and shootings.
Oh, yeah. They got shot. So what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Hit him with a foam bat? Yeah. Well, those people that said that they need psychological attention. Unfortunately.
Yeah, that's like saying, why did the ICE officer have to shoot the woman that came at him with the car? I don't know. Maybe because she was trying to kill him with the car.
Yeah, with a 4,000-pound vehicle.
Yeah.
You don't hear anything from Paul. He's keeping his mouth shut because, but again, here's a classic example of the Democratic idiocy. Oh, yeah. Why didn't you use non-lethal force? You know what I like even better than that? When you get the ones that watch too many movies and they go, well, why didn't they shoot him like in the leg?
Right.
Well, that's not the way you shoot in a situation where your life is in jeopardy. You're taught to shoot at center mass and do damage. No, that's the job but it highlights it. Now, this guy, remember what we just said, 20 years in prison, long history, and it was a gun crime. According to the reports I heard, had a Glock on him.
Correct. And it was a modified Glock.
A modified Glock. That's right. Probably with a high-capacity magazine, no doubt. All of which are illegal. So what's the moral of that story? Okay, moron Democrats and liberals, listen to me closely. This guy could never get a gun legally in the state of Massachusetts. So what is the moral of that story? He had a modified Glock. He violated not only the fact that he had a gun, but he had a modified Glock, which is illegal, and he probably had a high-capacity magazine, which is illegal. So the moral of that story is, you libtards, is that gun laws do not reduce gun crime. What it does is take away the right of a law-abiding citizen to protect themselves. Because if that guy would have held somebody up, he might have murdered them if they tried to resist. And if you had a gun, you might be able to defend yourself. You should be able to defend yourself. We have a constitutional right.
Not in Massachusetts.
But they're going to yell about gun right. They're always yelling about gun laws, gun laws, gun laws. No, criminals don't abide by the law. You people are so full of shit, it's incredible. All you do is babble illogical shit. Oh, why didn't they use non-lethal force? Probably because he was trying to shoot him. I don't know. I can tell you one thing. If he was shooting at me and I had my gun with me, he was getting it. I was going to fire back. This is the problem. Police officers, you can't say enough about the fact that the job they have, because they are not. I remember that imbecile Seth Moulton, talked about when he was in Iraq. This isn't Iraq. It seems like it. Kind of seems like Fallujah in many cases, especially the streets. Or Baghdad. Seems like it. We're in a war zone. But the fact is, when he was in the military, it's not the same. When you see the enemy, you shoot the enemy shoots at you because you're enemies. And you know what your job is. Try to survive. You shoot him before they shoot you. There's no question. Police officers have to go into situations where they're trying to protect lives or they're trying to execute an arrest, and then somebody assaults them and turns it into a life or death situation. It's different than combat. Take my word for it. It's different. You're not, they are in a war zone every day. That's why people should appreciate what they do. They will never know when it'll be escalated. And therein lies the problem. When you're a soldier, you know what you got to do. You see the enemy? It's on. Police officers don't have that. You have police officers that served their entire career, never unholstered their weapon. And that is difficult for anyone. Because now you got to take out this gun and take somebody's life to protect your own life. And that's a difficult decision. In the military, you're in you're in a war zone. So the comparisons are bullshit. And these idiots with the non-lethal force shit. Yeah, oh yeah. Let them shoot you. Let them run you over with the car. But that's, you can't shoot them. So, I mean, this whole thing, but as I said, we wish them the best. I hope they make a speedy recovery. But I can guarantee you, they will be changed forever. if they were not in the military, in a combat zone, they have experienced something very few people will have experienced. Psychologically, they're going to be different. Some of them, when that happens too, they can't come back to work and stuff or whatever. But I hope they do. They did what they had to do. I have nothing but admiration for the fact that they did what they had to do. They took, this guy was a dangerous criminal. As you said in a weekend flush, you made it very clear about his record. This guy was a dangerous criminal.
That's right.
He didn't hesitate to shoot police officers. You think he would have hesitated to shoot you if he ran into you someday and he wanted something you had? I don't think so. And the other issue you really get into, because I mean, Paul, I think that the point that was made that Paul doesn't say anything about anything. Paul's in his hermit zone now. He's keeping it. He's saying as little as possible. Yeah, well, but yeah, you're right, James. That Coogan doesn't want it. Look, they're above the law. They're above the law. Police officers can't shoot anybody when they're being shot at or their life is in jeopardy. But they don't have to obey by any law. You want to audit them? No. So it's like on a state level. We want the state audited? No. They said no. And whose fault is it? Ours. We keep them in office. Maura Healey is going to now provide, and that was in your flush too, going to provide pay for the legal services of illegals. So you get arrested, you got to pay for a lawyer. And the legal gets arrested, they don't have to pay. Besides getting free everything, they don't have to pay for their lawyer either. We're going to defend them. You and I are going to defend them. Why? Because they vote for Maura Healey in his state. And they know it. They don't want voter ID because they don't want anybody to keep the illegals out of the polling places because they get everything for free from them.
That's right.
So they're going to vote for it.
That's right. And remember something. Massachusetts has done away with Miranda. Okay? In Miranda, you are guaranteed an attorney if you can't afford it at no cost to you. That was Miranda for decades.
Yep.
Okay? Now, in Massachusetts, the judiciary has decided, and they did this about 5 to 10 years ago, that you must pay for your public defender. You must pay for your public defender. A minimum of $150, even if you don't have any money, even if you have no income. You must pay for it. And you do not get an attorney until you pay for it. What happened to Miranda? Oh, wait a minute. I'm illegal, moron. Oh, well, you're illegal. You can have your attorney for free. Free of charge.
Illegals.
No charge whatsoever.
Illegals who are not entitled to the rights have all the rights they're denying.
Exactly.
And Dan, I have to just, I don't, quasi war zones. I think they are war zones. I don't even know about the quasi anymore. We have war zones. If you look at Minnesota and stuff, and like you brought up, these people, and now these supposed anti-gun people who passed all these laws to make it as difficult as possible for law-abiding citizens to get a gun, they're all advocating to go out and buy a gun now. What? Not to protect yourself from a criminal, but to shoot law enforcement. That's how twisted they are. And James, that's not in it because Coogan didn't know it had to go before the council. He's got to bring it up to the state. And then somebody had to tell him, remember, he's only a vice principal. He's only been here 6 years. He's in his 7th year. Why should he know the process? He's only the freaking mayor.
I asked Michelle Dion, because she's the one that sponsored that. I asked her what happened to it, and she's the one that told me. She called Paul and asked Paul what happened. And he says, oh, that's right, I've got to send that to the state. And she said, no, you got to send it to the city council. The city council has to approve it to send it to the state. Where's his head? Up his ass? I don't know.
Well, I can tell you where his brain is.
Yeah.
It's not in his head. I don't know where. And I mean, he just keeps showing that after 6 years, he hasn't even made a feeble attempt to have any idea of what the hell his job is or the laws. With the law department, nobody knows. His law department didn't tell him. Nobody told Paulie the process. That's because they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit about anything in this state. You know that. I know that. It's clear.
But here's the sad part about it. Maura Healey has a 62% approval rating. 62%.
Who?
Maura Healey. 62% approval rating.
60%. And they probably...
I want to know how many illegals were interviewed.
About 78% of the 62%.
Exactly.
But that would be my guess.
Right. But here's the thing.
Every wokey in the rich communities who, as soon as somebody gets near them, will scream for the police.
Right.
And tell them to get them the hell away from them. Like they
but
did.
But the same people will scream to fund the police.
Yeah, of course it is. All their numbers are crazy. Then you brought up, like I said, you brought up another one about that. Talk about bullshit. That I did not watch the halftime show.
Neither did I.
CJ brought it up. Made a very good point about it. Read the flush. It was excellent. What I did was I taped on my DVR. I taped it. I didn't start watching the Super Bowl until about an hour and a half after it started. That way I knew when I got to the halftime, I could just fast forward right through.
Right.
And go to the kickoff in the third quarter. But CJ made a point in there about that imbecile Raja Dodger, good old, saying that this will he, in his opinion, this could reunite the country. Well, that's the biggest wokey horse shit I've ever heard in my life. On a horse shit meter, that broke the meter. How do you reunite a country by having a halftime show in a foreign language?
That's right. Well, did you hear? The 2027 Super Bowl is going to be aired on Disney Plus, a streaming service, ABC, ESPN, and
all of which are woke.
Right,
all of which are woke.
All of which are woke, but it gets even better. Their halftime show is going to be spoken in Chinese. And they will have a parade with crab rangoons led by General Tsao.
Okay, General Tsao and his chickens following him. Okay. But listen, somebody explained to me during that halftime show, and I'd have to ask my daughter, but I wouldn't put it through that to listen to that Bad Bunny, since she's fluent in Spanish. I'm not fluent in Spanish. I'm not even semi-fluent. He supposedly was talking to the other people in Spanish, saying, "We are America." They're saying that Americans aren't Americans anymore.
Right.
It's them. America is made up of everybody, every other group except the people who created America. Now, I don't mind if they want to be Americans, but you don't bring a country together. You don't bring a country together by having something. And what it irritated me, I don't know if it irritated you, but it really pissed me off. They started out, what did they start out with? 250th anniversary of the United States of America.
Right.
Then they sing America the Beautiful. Then they sing the national anthem. Then they show an air wing saluting. Then they show the jets going over. All great. Let's bring America together like they did after 9/11. There's no such thing as all these ethnic groups, as my favorite president, Teddy Roosevelt, said. And then they have a halftime show in a foreign language and condemn everything. So, they're hypocrites. But what I was doing was researching this. I had to bring something up about my boy Teddy Roosevelt because I remembered this and it's not verbatim. This is what it said about Teddy. In one of his speeches, Teddy Roosevelt said, quote, this was his belief. Every immigrant who comes here should be required within 5 years to learn English or leave the country. These are the true words of Theodore Roosevelt, supposedly taken from a letter written to the president of the American Defense Society in 1919, 3 days before his death and 10 years after his presidency. But it said, Theodore Roosevelt said, he encouraged the United States to keep up the fight for Americanism. The theme of Americanism was a popular topic for Roosevelt. He believed our nation would fall into ruins because of the squabbling nationalities amongst, quote, hyphenated Americans, which he made a speech about. There's no such thing. He also said some of the best Americans he ever knew were naturalized Americans, but then they became Americans and loyal to America. Hyphenated American. It was his fear. It was this fear that led him to endorse compulsory learning of English by every naturalized citizen. It was this same fear that prompted Roosevelt to record his infamous statement that everybody should learn English. He also added that English should be the only language taught or used in the public schools. Another quote from Roosevelt is, it is our boast that we admit the immigrant to full fellowship and equality with the native born. But in return, we demand that he shall share our undivided allegiance to the one flag which floats over all of us. And it goes on to say why he did this. He was a true American. The man charged up San Juan Hill. He fought for this country in the Spanish-American War, was given the Congressional Medal of Honor posthumously long after he died for his charge up San Juan Hill, created the national park system, had the reason he's a little bit ahead of Lincoln was he had a boxing ring in the friggin' White House. But yeah, well, he should stick to wrestling. Yeah, well, it's, the thing is that when they have it in a foreign language, they can say anything they want because half the people don't understand what the hell they're saying. And then they say it in a context and they say, oh, you guys are being, overly critical. No, you don't. America was, what did they say? And see, this is what I hate about Democrats. They all have like political amnesia. America was created as a melting pot. You come to America, you work hard, no matter what, the Irish came here, the Italians came here, the Portuguese came here, everybody came here, including the Indians, because they weren't here. They came here from Asia. Everybody learned the language. Ultimately, I'm not saying Teddy said 5 years, but you should learn a language. But we should be loyal to the United States. And that's the key. He feared that because he realized divide and conquer is how you destroy this country. And a wise man once said decades ago, America will not be destroyed by an outside enemy. It will be destroyed from within. And that's exactly what the Democratic Party and Red China is working toward. because they're making everything about nationalities. Hey, you can be proud to be a Puerto Rican. You can be proud to be Portuguese. You can be proud to be of any ethnic derivation. But I had a conversation with a guy who called me today that reminded me. He said, does anybody remember about the people who started this country with their feet freezing off at Valley Forge, and how many people died for this country? Do you remember the people who nearly froze to death in Bastogne when they were surrounded by tens of thousands of Germans when the 101st Airborne was surrounded and asked to surrender? No. Does anybody remember the Chosin Reservoir in Korea, when our troops were surrounded again, were freezing to death, and still fought for this flag? I'm sick of this fucking bullshit. And that's as clear as I can say it. These people don't give a shit. 2 police officers got shot, there'll be people celebrating. That's so far out of bounds. I can't even think about what I would do to somebody that said that in front of me. Because this country is out of control. These Democrats have destroyed it. They're breaking down the very fabric of this country, because the fabric is that we are all Americans. And we were all Americans for a New York minute after they hit the Trade Center. What happened? I'll tell you what happened. The Democrats lost power, and they're so desperate to get it back, they will, as that quote, watch their nation burn to ashes so they can rule over the ashes. And as was said by Lao Tzu. But this is crazy. I just don't. This is unfathomable. And like I said, 2 police officers shot again. This society. And in Massachusetts, they'll let him out again. How did this guy get a damn Glock? I'll tell you how. Criminals know where to get guns. You got to go to the gun shop, fill out 8 million forms, you have them go over your record with a magnifying glass. You got the CIA, the FBI, everybody checks you out. Oh, you got a traffic ticket one time? Oh, you can't have a gun permit in Massachusetts. You're a danger. You get a felon with a record 9 miles long. I don't know how long he's been out of jail, but he's driving around with a Glock, a fully automatic Glock with a high-capacity magazine. And they'll take his side. Oh, he had a tough childhood. Oh, yeah, bullshit. You know, there used to be a good old saying, but they've forgotten it. You do the crime, you got to do the time. And these people don't get punished anymore in these states. And the irony is that if you look at videos from 10 years ago of the Democrats, they had the exact opposite position. The exact opposite. Yeah, no, you're right, Jeff. Yeah, these people are using everything for a political stage. And most of those people, I hate to say it, but they are from the rich elite class. Why? What are we looking at, Jeff? We're looking at the Winter Games. Who competes in the Winter Games? Ice skaters. You got money to send your kid for like $100 an hour to skating lessons for 20 years to get to the Olympics? You go out and ski on a weekend and it costs you $5,000 to spend a weekend up in Vermont or New Hampshire skiing? all these sports, most of those people involved, not all of them, but most of them come from very affluent families. They tend to be woke. The summer games are different. I still remember George Foreman in the center of boxing ring when he won the heavyweight championship with his little American flag, waving it, proud to be an American. People, you don't need to take lessons if you're a great runner. And it's a different thing. But, they've brainwashed these people. They're not proud to be Americans. Well, like you said, get out of the games and get out of the country. Go represent your former great grandparents' country, okay? Go get on the Estonian ice hockey team or some shit. You're competing for your country. That's the whole intent of the games. And if you're not competing for the country, you don't like the country, don't compete for it. That's all. Deny them your amazing skills. Because I don't give a damn how many gold medals we get. I want to be able to have a country that people are proud to be part of, and people used to be. And they brainwash these tods into believing that this is the worst place on earth, when try to get away with the bullshit they're saying. You think if these assholes went back to Red China after saying, I can't stand Red China, they're repressive, they're torturing the Uyghurs, they should all be, ice hockey's about the few one that you can get a working class person in, because you don't need to go take lessons for ice hockey. You just got to go play. It's a real sport. I mean, those are sports, but those sports take a lot of money. If you want to take ice skating lessons at a high level and become a high level skater, you have to have a lot of money, because then you've got to go skate in competitions all over the country. You've got to get world class coaches and stuff like that. But most of these sports in the winter games, the people from those European countries don't need to be rich, because a lot of those countries have got snow on it, snow 9 months a year. When I was stationed in Germany, we had a mountain about 3 or 4 miles away from where I was stationed. It was called the Wegscheid. And they had lights on the mountains. You could ski some of the trails at night. We could ski every single day. I saw little German kids like 5 years old just blowing my doors off on the slopes, because they've been skiing since they were in diapers. It's different for them. The United States, you don't have snow on the ground. You got to go to ski resorts and you got to take ski lessons and stuff. These kids are out on skis and snowshoes and whatever forever. And it's a different world. But these people piss me off. You don't like the country? Leave. Try this in Red China. Like I said, let one of the Red Chinese athletes condemn Red China. They'll only do that if they're going to renounce their citizenship and ask for asylum in the United States. No, you're right. No, you're right. Yeah, well, I had a guy call me today, said he's boycotting Lay's potato chips because they sponsored the freaking halftime. That was a good one. Oh, welcome back, CJ.
I had somebody at my door.
We just were waxing poetic.
I heard the whole thing.
But you can wax poetic now about this horse shit. These people that hate this country and they're only there for their friends. Well, you're there. I hate to tell you this, but when you're on the podium, if you win a medal, they're not going to raise the flag of your ancestors. They're going to like the United States. You're competing for our country, and if you don't like it, you shouldn't compete for it.
That's right. That's right. Well, look at Lindsey Vonn. Okay, she tore her ACL against medical advice. She decided she was going to compete anyways. 40 years old, torn ACL, and she's going to compete. And then she breaks her leg while trying to compete. So now she's out of the thing altogether. She looks like an ass. Not that accidents can't happen, but she was told not to do it. So now she looks like an ass. She may never be able to ski again because of it. But it's everyone else's fault.
Yeah, but she may never be able to walk right again either after all the damage she's done to herself,
Right.
Yeah, it's also very common in Germany and Austria. And actually, the base I was on, Special Forces base, was right near Austria. Some of the guys got together and we spent a week in Austria, skiing in Austria. It was cheap to ski in those days over there. But you had to watch out for brontosauruses and tyrannosauruses. But yeah, well, no, well, yeah, because Mike Eruzione was a hockey player.
Right.
He got a couple of teeth knocked out. These are the morons that instead of working there, mommy and daddy let him go play in a skateboard park, and they were still skateboarding when they were 20 instead of working.
Right.
So that's the difference. The difference is look who's complaining. Look who's complaining. I mean, that therein lies the problem. But the Democrats have succeeded in dividing this country dramatically because you've got a bunch. These people think that this country will survive, and they're going to get everything for free. They're never going to have to work. They're never going to have to do anything. They believe, even though the whole world knows it outside of America, they have convinced them that communism works, socialism works, even though it's never worked anywhere else. Don't worry about it. It's going to work here. You're going to get all the free shit. But they believe it because they say, well, these people have invaded the country. They're not even legal and they're getting everything for free. So I'm going to get it too. No, you're not. Your mother and father are going to run out of money paying for these illegals. And then now you won't even have a cellar to live in, a basement to live in, because they're going to lose their house too. Because Laura Healy's going to take all their money.
Remember the old joke? They leave their countries, they go farewell. They get to the United States, they go welfare.
That's right. That's right. Yet they get the packet, and that's the thing. But yeah, that's not the platform. It's not the first time. I'm going to be really dating myself now, but I remember when John Carlos and a couple of runners did the Black Power Fist in an Olympic Games. I believe it was in Mexico, and that didn't go over well. But these are what these radicals who want to overthrow the country. Okay, ski boarders, snowboarders, whatever the hell they are. To me, that's, I'll tell you what, I would rather watch curling, Steve. And that's pretty boring. I don't know. I would rather watch curling. The Winter Olympics are not my bag. I don't know. I'll watch skating and I'll watch some downhill skiing and stuff like that, but it's not really my thing. It's a European, like you said, in Europe. Europe has a lot of ski areas, and average people can ski, and it's a huge sport over there. How many Americans know who the top skiers in the world are? Virtually nobody. How many people know who the top ice skaters are, except when they put it on TV before the Olympics? Nobody knows these people except the people who are in those elite circles. They're not mainstream sports in the United States. And yeah, we're talking about seats coming up, and Maura. CJ, tell us more. Tell them people who didn't read the flush. Give him your little Morris thing that you put in the.
Well, it's interesting because Maura Healey, and if I offend anybody when I say this, tough shit. Maura Healey is nothing but a dumbass bull dyke bitch. Okay? Not that I'm afraid of bull dykes. Not that I'm trying to be negative. But she's a bitch. She can't learn. So, Texas, how many remember when Texas went through the power situation? They had no electricity and no heat because of ice storms, snowstorms, and the cold weather. Remember that? I remember it. Alternative energy doesn't work in the cold. It doesn't work in New England. It doesn't work in Texas. All the alternative energy that Massachusetts gets, solar, wind, was useless the past couple of weeks. Maura Healey even lost her Canadian energy source. Canada needed the energy, so they cut New England off. Okay? So remember.
No, you're right.
Remember, we've lost that. And she wants to now tax you for using natural gas in your home. Natural gas. She wants you to use electricity to heat your home. Can you imagine?
After she raised the rates 50%.
Can you imagine the cost in Massachusetts to heat your home with electricity? I can't, I can't even fathom it. She wants all these mini splits put into houses to heat their home. You know what happened with this past two snowstorms? They froze over. Froze solid. And they didn't work. So people went without heat.
Yep. So you're going to heat with electricity, and then we're going to lose the electrical grid during a storm.
Yes.
And then you're going to have a generator, and that generator won't work, probably. And how do you power the generator?
And to top it off, we've gotten rid of all the natural gas generating systems in Massachusetts. What did we keep? Oil-based generating systems as backup. One of them's in Braintree. Okay? They're burning oil to generate the needed, the necessary electricity, polluting the air more so than natural gas would do. But obviously, we don't know what the hell we're talking about.
You also don't know.
That's why Maura Healey put her Clean Energy Act on delay until after the election. She's not going to implement it until 2028. So if you use natural gas in your home in 2028, you will pay an alternative energy tax. You will have to pay extra for that.
Yeah, she already raised the rates 50% on electricity for us. So let's use a more expensive source and less reliable. There you go.
Hey, how about the fact that her energy program now has those smart meters coming out to monitor your electricity usage? And if you opt out, you got to pay a $30 and change monthly fee to pay for them to send somebody out to read your meter. Plus, you have to pay to put in the new meter. Whereas if you get the smart meter, you don't pay that. Why? Because with the smart meter, they'll be able to charge you prime and non-prime, or peak and off-peak rates. Although they say they're not doing that.
And how much stock does Maura's campaign contributors and her and their friends get in these things? Most of them have gotten rich.
Exactly.
Yeah, even though basically the federal government ditched all those plans.
As a matter of fact, the federal government got rid of all the tax credits.
That's right. So Maura is going to make Massachusetts stupid again.
Right.
And we're going to keep going. We've proven it doesn't work, but we're going to do it anyway.
That's right.
We're going to make money on it. And my friends are
going
to make money.
Maura Healey has decided that Massachusetts will tax overtime and tips. The rest of the country isn't, but Massachusetts is going to. Because you don't pay enough.
No. Well, she's an absolute, but what Jeff said, they're going to be coming after you, CJ. You better look out for clandestine operations outside your house. Oh, God, what a mess.
You have to admit, it's a lot of fun.
We can't make that an acronym. MFFGA. MFGA. I don't know. No. Yeah, it's crazy. It's, I mean, this state and some of these other states, they just don't learn. I mean, Texas learned that, but the difference was you had a real governor in Texas, and he basically said, look, you idiots, we can't do this shit because it doesn't work.
Right.
But see, in the blue states, they go, we don't care if it doesn't work. We'll just keep charging you more money, and then we'll buy stocks in the electric company. Oh, boy. No, it is. Everything they do is ridiculous, man. I mean,
hey, we don't make this stuff up, so.
Yeah, it's like they have a blueprint.
Right.
This works. And they go, okay, if that works, we're going to do the exact opposite, and our state's going to be better than all the states that are running great. Look at Florida. Look at Florida. Florida is now going to, they've done so many things. They've passed so many laws. Oh, yeah, that rhino, Baker. Yeah, she went nuts. They love taxes. They love taxes, and they hate audits, and they don't like any scrutiny, and they lie about everything. Just like Rhode Island, hey, they take 700 bridges out to make the numbers work. Let's see. Maybe they got an idea. Let's see what Fall River does. We got our political science major. Maybe she'll remove half the budget and say, oh, look, we're running under budget.
We're running under budget, baby.
Yeah, maybe we can remove 700 items from our budget and then say, look, we're doing really good.
Who
knows? Maybe I should have said it. I was saying that facetiously, so I hope they don't take this seriously. It's not. I don't really mean that, because they're going to say, well, he told us to do that.
That's right.
But, yeah. Well, he was a real, I mean, you never get a real Republican governor like DeSantis or in and
even if we did, he would be useless. He would be useless because the Democrats control the House and the Senate.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but the thing is, when a Republican wants to get in office, they become a rhino. They're not really a Republican because, as you said, I don't care if you got DeSantis up here, he'd get nothing through.
That's right.
But the people in Florida are smart enough to give him, a Republican-backed House and Senate.
Look
So
at
he gets
what
what he wants.
DeSantis did. DeSantis did something that no governor in decades has had the balls to do. DeSantis took on Disney.
Yep.
Disney was a self-controlled corporation. They owned their own land, their own police, their own fire, their own everything. That was called Reedy Creek. And their corporation was Reedy Creek Development Corporation. Okay? DeSantis dissolved the Reedy Creek representation, made it something else, and now they have to answer to the state of Florida. Disney doesn't like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, boy, way off from being a right governor for that.
That's right.
She with great power comes great responsibility to tax everybody. That's their motto. They don't know how to do anything.
No, they don't.
They don't know how to do anything except tax and spend. This is their primary objective. Like you said, a lousy 1% reduction. It's like,
and they're having a heart attack.
That's the one they give you. No, you're not getting it. Audit ourselves, see how much money we're wasting. Hell no, we're not doing that.
Not doing that
either. Shut up and pay. Welcome to a blue state.
That's it. Well, there's going to be snow again tomorrow. Supposedly and according to 2 inches. But they've been wrong before. So be looking out for that. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Wednesday. Have a great day.